Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and Thor Love and Thunder introduces who is being described as the MCU's most fearsome villain yet, Christian Bale's Gorr the God Butcher. And while we've talked a lot about this guy's appearance and how he seems to be a harbinger of gray tone in this film, one specific visual detail within trailer footage hasn't really been explored enough. The fact that in some shots of the trailer, when he stands amidst a lush, colorful world, he looks more like bald, pale-skinned Christian Bale with yellow-orange eyes and linear tattoos on either side of his head. But in other shots, the tattoos have been covered by scar tissue, lumpy crosshatches forming interesting lines and trenches on his furrowed brow as inky blood oozes from his mouth. In fact, and this gives me nightmares, the shot of Gorr pushing through the thorny bramble, when you look at it in 4K and brighten it a bit, you can see Gorr's dim eyes, his skull-like nostrils, and faint teeth looming through the murk. It's extremely unsettling. At first I thought these might just be wounds that Gorr endured from his battles with Thor and Jane and Valkyrie, but no. The scarring is exactly along the lines of those tattoos, as if he scarred himself to cover those tattoos in a specific way, in some kind of ritualistic practice, or what was there previously might have represented something inside of him that he extracted to untether him from his restraints to his past. So how do we explain Gorr's transformation throughout this film? What causes this physical erosion? Well, let's start with everything Gorr has said and done so far in the footage. In the May trailer, we heard him say,
"The only ones who gods care about is themselves.
So this is my vow.
All gods will die.
He also tells Thor,
You are not like the other gods of kill. You have something worth fighting for."
we see the more Christian Bale looking Gorr on this lush planet, another with his hand slowly clutching his sword on a coastline, then a shot of Gorr pushing through some of those gray toned vines, and then lowering his hood to show his new yucky status. Another one of him gasping or screaming as something pointy lowers in frame in the foreground, and then a shot of him plunging his sword into this rocky surface, then a wide shot that may be connected to that or part of a different scene, but blue Mjolnir-style lightning bolts exploding out from a moon, because I don't see an atmosphere on this planet, and cracking it all to bits. And then on this same broken surface, Gorr fighting against Thor and Valkyrie as color drains from Valkyrie, making her black and white the closer she gets to him. And then him pointing at Thor in this setting, and another shot of Thor and Jane's fingers interlocking as they walk towards something or someone in this same place. But there's also this new line from a recent promo.
The world will be better without gods.
And since we are an MCU cosmos filled with planets and worlds, which singular world is Gorr now referring to? He might just be using the term world as a general term, as in like all of reality will be better off godless. But the fact that an MCU planet hopper like this talks this way tells us that he is in a pretty limited place psychologically. Like, he doesn't care about the cosmos as a whole. You can only see as far as his current horizon. That, I think, is the context that he is saying this particular line. But also we gotta remember Gorr uses the term vow, which tells us that he views his mission to eradicate gods with a kind of religious zealotry, something that he has in common with Thanos, that I'll explain a little bit later in this video, but in this case might tell us something about his scarring. This man is mourning, and for many MCU characters, scarring and tattoos like this tells us something about their pasts, obviously. For Killmonger, his ritualistic scarring represented each of his kills. In the case of Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn actually explained at one point on Instagram, Drax's tattoos are not about his conquests, but about the memories he has with this family. And how appropriate is it then that Thor in this film, when Zeus flicks off his clothes, reveals how he has inked his skin with family members he has lost, Loki's horned crown with the letters R.I.P. Loki. So for Gorr, the scars now etched on the sides of his forehead, where those stripes once were, might be his attempt to do the same, to cover the basic tattoos that once bound him to his home world, a world that no longer exists because the gods failed to save him, and instead scar himself to memorialize his dead wife, whose name was Ara, and his children. The last surviving one was named Agar, a kid who eventually starved to death. So these scars that we see on Gorr's head might not be random crosshatches and lines, but rather specific markings, maybe in his native cuneiform, or markings in some other way to represent the names of his wife and children, R.I.P. Ara, R.I.P. Agar, etc. Now in the next few months, we're gonna get new Game of Thrones and a Lord of the Rings series, and now would be an awesome time to dive into those amazing books or enjoy them all over again in a new format, and you can do that on Audible, the sponsor of this video. You can even hear The Fellowship of the Ring narrated by starring Gollum himself, Andy Serkis. Audible offers an incredible selection of audiobooks across every genre, from bestsellers and new releases to celebrity memoirs, mysteries and thrillers, motivation, and more. You'll also discover exclusive Audible originals from top celebrities, renowned experts, and exciting new voices in audio. As an Audible member, you can choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog, including the latest bestsellers and new releases. All Audible members now also get access to a growing selection of titles included with membership that you can listen to all you want. The selection includes audiobooks, Audible originals, and podcasts. More get added every month. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere. Have it on your phone and you can listen while traveling, doing chores, or climbing Mount Doom. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/newrockstars or text new rockstars to 500-500. Now, any number of apocalyptic events could have led to the deaths of Gorr's family, like the birth of a Celestial. As I have speculated, the Centauri 6 mentioned in Eternals might have been a past neighbor to Centauri 4 that we see in trailer footage, and that planet's horizon containing the ashes and space debris of Gorr's home world that a Celestial hatched out of. Remember, there's also Ego's near assimilation of the universe, goo that certainly smothered thousands across the cosmos before it was stopped. We don't really talk about that. Of course, Thanos' conquest blipped half of all life from the universe, and even when those souls were returned, they came back to an extremely chaotic life, and in Gorr's case, he might have come back to find that his family had died in his absence. All of these events can be traced back to Celestials and or Eternals, either way, gods. But we may also learn that Gorr is far older as he is in the comics. Like Jason Aaron's comics show how Gorr traveled the cosmos for thousands of years murdering gods before Thor comes into his crosshairs. And in the MCU, we do have the ancient severed head of the Celestial Nowhere, who in the comics was beheaded by the same sword that Gorr now carries, All Black the Necrosword, but in that instance was wielded by a different person, Null, the symbiote deity. And since of course Sony owns the rights to all the symbiotes, including Venom, Carnage, etc., I don't know if that will connect in this particular way in the MCU. But what I like about that Centauri 6 theory is that planet's destruction must not have been recent, as this was the same group of Eternals who helped oversee its destruction, and they have been on Earth for 7,000 years. So if that theory were true, Gorr would have to be over 7,000 years old, far older than Thor or any of these characters. And what intrigues me about this new line from Gorr, "The world will be better without gods," is that he might be referring to a new planet that he wants to build, completely free from any divine oversight or godly jurisdiction, a god-free world. This would mean that Gorr is less of a self-destructive kamikaze force and more someone like Thanos, who was also a religious zealot, but a revolutionary hoping to burn everything down to build something new. And that could explain the desaturation we see. The universe of Technicolor that we know is provided by celestials, gods, and Infinity Stone radiation coursing through everything. That is what gives our world its color. And without those gods, and without those stones, we would just be full grayscale. And this could be a choice that Jane faces in this movie. Why Jane is so important to this plot. Trailer footage has not shown it yet, which I find interesting, but Jane Foster has cancer in the story. There are a few ways she could have gotten it, but chances are her experiences with gods and with Infinity Stone radiation did not help. Literally, her helping gods left her with a curse. My theory is that some of the cosmic entities might have taken pity on her, like the Living Tribunal, Infinity, and maybe offered her a temporary escape in the form of this godly promotion. But in the comics, those power-ups to the mighty Thor are not a permanent cure. They just delay and reset her chemo whenever she reverts to Jane. So Gorr's godless, stoneless, radiationless world may give Jane a true reset. And why we only see Thor and Jane in this setting from behind with their fingers interlocked, as if they're accepting their fate here. It could be an escape that Jane actually considers. And you know what? She'd be totally right too. But I want to know your thoughts on these theories in the comments below. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Erik Voss. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching. Bye.